Hey guys, welcome back, and this is Garv here again. In this video we will be going through one question from the topic of measurement from the 2007 to the 2011 past year PSLE Mathematics question paper series. So yeah, without any further ado, let's begin. The shaded figure below shows a flower bed which is formed by one straight line and 6 identical quarter circles. We take the value of pi to be 22/7. Okay, so yeah, part A, find the perimeter of the flower bed. We need to find the perimeter, so let's get on to it. And we find the perimeter assuming the value of pi to be 22/7. So first it is given that the length of 4 squares is 28 centimeters. It's marked in purple over here, and the length of 4 squares 1, 2, 3, 4 is 28 centimeters. And this would mean, I should erase the ink. Yeah, this would mean that the length of one square is 28 centimeters divided by 4, which gives us 7 centimeters. Correct? That is the length of one side of the square. And now, since each of these individual shapes is a square, as I am marking in blue, if we find one side of this square, it would naturally mean that the other side would also be 7 centimeters. The perpendicular side would also be 7 centimeters since it's a square. So that's the reason why I put 7 centimeters over here. So now this would mean that the circumference of one quadrant. Okay, so in case you did not see how I got that, this figure over here is made up of two straight lines, 1, 2, and 6 quadrants, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If you don't know what a quadrant is just a quarter circle. It's 1/4 of a circle. Oops. Yeah, so these are the 6 quadrants that make up the figure. And if you look at the next animation, we see that there's a circle. And in this circle, we have 4 quadrants. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I don't know if you're able to see this, but the radius of the circle is 7 centimeters. Now the reason how I got this lies in finding the length of one side of the square. If you see, sorry for this. Yeah, if you see over here, and then we have this quadrant, and the length of one side of the quadrant is 7 centimeters, as we found out over here. The length of one side of the square is 7 centimeters. So if the length of this side of the quadrant is 7 centimeters, and if we draw out the full circle, you see that the radius of the circle now happens to be 7 centimeters. Now that we know what the radius of this circle is, it's quite simple to find the circumference of one side of the quadrant, of the quadrant arc rather. So this is 7 centimeters. The circumference of the quadrant would just be 1/4 of the circumference of the full circle, and the circumference of the full circle would be calculated by 2 pi r or pi d. Both are the same thing, because the diameter is 2 times the radius. It's 2 times the length of the radius. So now we get 1/4 times 2 times pi, the value of pi, which is 22/7 as given over here, times 7, which is the radius we found over here. And now when we cancel all this out, 2 is cancelled with 22 to give us 11, 7 and oh no, sorry, yeah, this 7 is cancelled with 7, and this 4 is cancelled with 2 to give 1 and 2, and then this 2 is again cancelled with this 22 to give us 11. So we are eventually left with 11 centimeters. So the circumference of the quadrant is 11 centimeters. So now we need to find the total perimeter, which just happens to be the length of the straight blue line and the total sum of the circumference of 6 quadrants. Now the key thing over here is this circumference. The circumference refers to the area of the curved portion, the length of the curved portion, and not the length of these individual straight lines within a quadrant. So just make sure of that. Okay, so the length of one square is 7 centimeters. So this would mean that the length of two blue straight lines would be 2 times 7, which is 14 centimeters. Correct? And now we need to find the total sum of the circumference of 6 quadrants. The circumference of one quadrant is 11 centimeters. So then the circumference of 6 quadrants would just be 6 times 11, which gives us 66 centimeters. And now all we have to do is to add the sum of the length of this blue line and the circumference of these green arcs. And when we do that, we get 14 plus 66, which turns out to be 80 centimeters. So the total perimeter of this whole flower bed is 80 centimeters. So now for the second part, we have to find the area of the flower bed. And the area is just the area of the shaded region. The area of the flower bed is just the area of the shaded region. So now if you see, it's not much of a difficulty to solve this question. Oops. Oh no. Okay. So now, although this figure looks pretty complicated, it's actually not that difficult. This whole figure is divided into two different regions, unshaded and shaded. So if we look at the unshaded regions, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 quadrants. And we have two regions. I don't know what it's exactly called, but these two regions which we obtain when we remove a quarter circle from a square. So now, although this figure looks pretty complicated, what we have to do is just to shift this, or rather to bring this shaded region over here, these two shaded regions below. So now when we do that, we get this type of figure. Just give me a second. So now what I have done is I've brought those two shaded regions from the top, from squares 1 and 2 to the bottom. So now what we get is a shaded figure comprising of 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. And these two shaded regions, I'm not sure what we call them, so I'll just label them as A and A. So 4 squares plus A, 4 squares plus A, that's 2A rather. A is the area of one of these shaded regions. So 2A would be 2 times would just be this region plus this region. Yeah. So now we just have to solve for this. The value of that's one way to solve it. The other way to solve is we find the area of the whole figure, which would be 28 centimeters times 14 centimeters, and then we just subtract away the unshaded regions, which would be this, and these two. Now I find the second method much more simpler, as we just have to subtract the area of a semicircle and two squares, whereas for the first method I gave about finding the area of 4 squares and 2a would be that we have to find the area of shaded region A and then multiply that by 2. So that would be slightly lengthier, although you can use that method if you wish. So for now I'll go with the second method that I gave an example about. So basically all we have to do is to find the total area of the figure. So total area of the rectangle, of the whole rectangle, would be 28 centimeters times 14 centimeters, which gives us 14 square times 2. That would give us 392 centimeters, 392 square centimeters. And the area of 1 square would be 7 centimeters times 7 centimeters. We found the length of 1 square in the previous part, so now we get the area of 1 square is equals to 7 times 7, which gives us 49 square centimeters. And we have to find the area of these two quadrants. If you observe these two quadrants, they form a semicircle. So basically we're just finding the area of this semicircle, and the area of a semicircle is half pi r square. Pi r square is the area of a circle, and half pi r square becomes the area of a semicircle. So in this case the radius is just the length of one side of the square, which is 7 centimeters. So the area of the semicircle, I'll put SC for short, is half times pi times r square, which is 7 times 7, or 7 squared, and this would give us half times 22 by 7 times 7 times 7. Now we are using 22 by 7 because I think I forgot to mention in this version of the question that we take the value of pi to be 22 by 7. I mentioned it in part A, so yeah, that's why I took 22 by 7 over here. Okay, so this 2 cancels out to this 22 to give us 11, and this 7 cancels out to this 7, so we are left with 77 square centimeters. Correct? Yep, this leaves us with 77 square centimeters. So now what we have to do is the area. We have to calculate the area of the whole rectangle minus the area of two squares. Okay, just take note that over here I found the area of 1 square, so we would have to multiply this by 2 to find the area of 2 squares. Yeah, so I just write it down. The area of the shaded figure would be the unshaded area, I'll put UA for short, minus the area of 2 squares minus the area of the semicircle. So the unshaded, or rather this shouldn't be the unshaded area, this should be the total area of the rectangle. So area of the rectangle, sorry about that. So the area of the rectangle we found out over here is 392 centimeters square centimeters. So 392 minus the area of 2 squares. Now the area of 1 square is 49 square centimeters. So 2 squares would have an area of minus 2 times 49, 98 centimeters squared, and then minus the area of the semicircle, which is 77 square centimeters, and this happens to give us minus 98 minus 77, 217 square centimeters. So the area of the shaded figure is 217 square centimeters. So now this is the first method, this is the second method that I just explained. Now the first method, we can use the first method as a method of as a method for cross checking. And the first method was we find the area of these 4 squares, 1 2 3 4, and then we add the area of 2 a's. So now I will use that method for cross checking. I'll just erase all the annotation marks. And okay, so now what we have to do is we find the area of 1 2 3 4, these 4 squares, and then add this area plus this area as mentioned over here. So now the area of 1 square, the area of 1 square is equals to 7 times 7, which gives us 49 square centimeters. So we multiply this by 4 to give us the area of 4 squares, and this would be 196 square centimeters. So the area of 4 squares is 196 square centimeters. So now we have to find the area of figure A. So how we do that is we find the area of 1 square, which is 49 square centimeters. We get the area of this quadrant, and then we subtract it from the area of the square to obtain this region over here, which we have called it A. So the area of the square as found over here is 49 square centimeters, and the side of the square is 7 centimeters. So now, since one side of the quadrant, or rather both sides of the quadrant, are 7 centimeters in length, not the arc, the straight lines of the quadrant are 7 centimeters in length, we can say that the area of one quadrant is 1/4 times pi r square, and pi r square is the area of a circle. So this gives us with 1/4 times pi, which is 22/7, times 7 times 7, which is r square. So 7 and 7, they cancel out. This 4 becomes 2, this 22 becomes 11, and we are left with 1/2 times 11 times 7, which gives us 77 square centimeters, and this turns out to be 35. No, wait, 77 divided, 38 1/2 square centimeters. So this is the area of one quadrant, and therefore the area of region A would simply be 49 minus 38 and a half square centimeters, and this would give us 10 and a half square centimeters. So that is the area of region A. And now, based on the figure, we have to multiply the area of region A by 2, since we have two region A's. So now 2A would be 10 and a half times 2, which gives us 21 square centimeters. And now all we have to do is we have to add the area of 4 squares and the area of 2A. And if we do that, we get 21 square centimeters 2A plus 196 square centimeters, which is 4 squares, and we get 217 square centimeters. So now this value, 217 square centimeters, matches with this value. So now, since this question has two methods of solving and getting the same answer, what you can do is you can use one method as your main method to solve the question, and use the second method as a way of cross-checking. Now that's what I used to do to ensure that whatever final answer I got, it was correct. And if there was any mistake, then the second method of solving, or the other method of solving the question, would have helped me spot the mistake. Yeah, but just be careful that when you are doing the second method, you don't make any careless mistakes, like you transfer the numbers wrongly, or for example you make a mistake in BODMAS, etc. Yeah, so just make sure that you don't make any mistakes. So yeah, that was it for this question. So yeah, thank you for watching my video, and if you guys really found it helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, and do subscribe to my channel to be notified, to be the first one to be notified whenever I post a new video. Furthermore, if you have any doubts or questions, please feel free to comment them in the comment section below, and I will do my best to I will do my best to answer them. And yeah, on a side note, please do let me know your thoughts on which method of explaining the questions you would prefer, whether it's the method I use for part A, where I use computer text to display all the workings, or the method I use in part B, where I use my own hand to write out the steps. So please give your feedbacks on whichever method you preferred. And yeah, other than that, do stay tuned for my next video, and till then, goodbye.